Welcome back to Open Window Politics. Today we're going to be going over the Electoral College history and popular voting history of the state of Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania is one of, if not the most coveted swing state to win for political campaigns. It has the most electoral college votes out of the core 7 swing states, and it's gone back and forth by nature of it being a swing state, of course. So we'll start with 2016. So in 2016, the states that really gave Trump his victory included Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, but Pennsylvania certainly helped them the most. There are a couple electoral trends to take note of. So we saw urban areas like Philadelphia have really good turnout for Clinton, and a couple swing counties, Bucks County actually has a Republican in the House that represents them, but they generally vote blue. But it is a swing county. And then another swing county to keep your eye on in Pennsylvania that can be a bellwether of how the rest of the state will go is Erie County. There is usually a pretty close to 50-50 split in Erie County. So both of those counties are ones to look out for, especially in the state of Pennsylvania. And then we've got a couple others, and then also high Democratic turnout in Pittsburgh, not quite to the same level as in Philadelphia. For example, in Pittsburgh, Trump got about 40% of the vote, while in Philadelphia proper, if I can click on it, he got about 15%, and then in some of the surrounding counties, 37 and 37%. So Philadelphia really came in big for Hillary Clinton. Ultimately, she did lose the state, like I mentioned. This was one of the states that gave Trump his victory in 2016 and kind of shocked the nation. Republican support really turned out around, especially in the area around around Pittsburgh. We see some pretty high Democratic numbers in the suburb areas, in counties like Westmoreland, and a couple others that saw really high Republican turnout just throughout the more rural parts, as well as some of the suburban/rural parts of the county. And then another couple swing counties is Lackawanna County. This is the This is the county where, it has decent Democratic turnout. This is where Scranton is, and generally that city will go blue, but the surrounding area generally remains pretty conservative. So that is going to be this little county there. A couple other counties to look for, but those are the main ones. And for totals, so we saw in 2016, Trump won the state of Pennsylvania with 2.9, almost 3 million votes, and beat Clinton by about 44,000 votes. So good election for Republicans, and that gave Trump the victory in 2016. And then later, the next election year in 2020, we saw some key counties flip. We saw, like I mentioned, Erie County generally is a bellwether that can give an indication of which way the county at large is going, or the state at large is going to go. And then we saw a couple other good news for Democrats, and there remained pretty consistently high turnout in the urban areas in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and that was enough to give Biden the victory. Biden won with about 3.5 million votes, 50% of the vote. Trump lost Pennsylvania with 48.8% of the vote, and Biden won most of the swing counties. Another somewhat swing county is this one right here, center of the county, and then Lackawanna County also went blue. This was somewhere, Scranton is, of course, where Biden used to live for a little bit, and he has called that area home, so that helped him for sure. And then he really turned up the numbers. And then in Bucks County, like I mentioned, somewhat of a swing state, that resulted in a Democratic victory as well. So it went in. And then I should point out, we can go even further back in time. So in 2008, the state went for Obama by 10 points, which is a very impressive feat. And then the margin started to narrow in 2012. It went to Obama by 5 points. And then, of course, like we just went over, 2016 went to Trump by 1 point. So it is possible that the state is going further and further to the right. This kind of projection would give that indication. And it is a possibility that 2020 was just a fluke year that wasn't a real statistical indicator, that Democrats will be able to do well in this state. I think the state will remain a swing state for a while. Pennsylvania, we've seen what's considered a swing state really vary widely over the last few decades. So it probably will remain a swing state for the next little while, but I do think at large that the Rust Belt 3 states, that being Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, will become more and more Republican friendly, while the Sun Belt becomes more and more Democratic friendly, just with demographic shifts and whatnot. And then we get to 2024. So this is Trump won the state of Pennsylvania in 2024, along with all the other swing states, except for the swing congressional district in the Omaha region. But in Pennsylvania, he won virtually all of the swing counties. He won Bucks County, as you can see, Erie County, and it looks like he did not win Scranton area. The Scranton area kind of tilts blue, so that isn't too surprising, but it is somewhat of a swing county. But in general, Trump did quite well. We also can see some of the electoral, if it'll let me click on it. No. Well, never mind. But we've seen many of the swing counties go back to Trump in the Republican category. Trump won with 50.4% of the vote to Harris's 48.7%. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in Pennsylvania in 2028. It can give us an idea of which way the state is leaning for more than a decade or two of trends. But in general, like I said, I think Pennsylvania is probably Republicans at the moment best chance of winning a swing state in the Rust Belt. With Vance at the top of the ticket, I think Pennsylvania is probably Republicans' best chance. And this kind of trends have been showing it that the state has, since 2008, been shifting to the right. And it's now a swing state that, in some cases, has been leaning further right than other swing states. But in general, still a competitive state for the next couple of years, I would guess. But I think in the long run, it will slowly become more and more Republican friendly. Don't forget to like.